Animals are not meant to live their life in captivity with inhumane conditions. They should live a life of freedom in the wilderness where they belong. So today, we're gonna share with you some clips of animals tasting freedom for the very first time. 3 orphan Siberian tiger cubs were recaptured from poachers and finally released back into the Siberian wilderness. A cautious little penguin is released back at sea. At first, he hesitates, then turns around to say a final goodbye before wandering off to his new home. Over 1 million pigeons are recorded being released in Portugal. Now they're finally free to roam the skies once again. After months of rehabilitation, it's time for these seals to return to the wild for a second chance at life. And here's the touching moment where 12 rescued penguins were released back into the sea after being found malnourished and dehydrated. Thousands of birds are released out of either end of this truck and fly away towards the bright blue sky. Two rare white lions face being put down in the American Zoo where they were kept, but after a local radio station helped raise more than $10,000, the lions were sent home to their native South Africa instead. Watch these pigs walk on grass for the first time ever after being freed from a factory farm. They were freed after the farmer decided to give up the cruel practice of factory farming and become a vegan, surrendering all his animals to sanctuaries. Watch as these safari workers release 2 roe deer who happily dart back into the wild. The same guys also released several monkeys and even a hedgehog who was more than ready to live its life in true freedom. After 70 years of being extinct in the country, cheetahs step foot on Indian soil once again as the Prime Minister releases 8 Namibian cheetahs into Kuno National Park for the very first time. Just watch how the cheetahs curiously check out their new home. These 2 rescued pigs see grass for the first time after spending their whole lives in small enclosures. Now they can spend their last years in happiness on green pastures with more room than they know what to do with. This giant bird was released in the wild after spending most of its life in a zoo. But sadly, they quickly discovered that it had forgotten how to fly. This orphan Siberian tiger was left to fend for herself at only a few months old after her mother was likely killed by poachers. An animal welfare fund rescued and rehabilitated the stunning animal, one of only 400 still existing in the wild. Watch as this incredibly rare tiger is released and returned to its natural habitat. and this rescued elephant seal who pauses and looks at his saviors, saying goodbye in his own way before being released back into the ocean. Wildlife officers release a bear relocated out of a neighborhood, and the bear stops for a second to look back at them, saying a final goodbye before running off into the wild. A tiger discovered on the outskirts of a Russian city is set free in a national park. Just watch as the magnificent animal happily goes back to the forest where it belongs. These lions were born in captivity and had spent their whole lives performing in a French circus, but now they've finally been rescued and released into a nature sanctuary. And here's several harbor seals being released back to the wild. Watch them run out of their small cages and into the big and beautiful ocean. Thanks to these wonderful wildlife workers, a juvenile male dolphin was rescued, rehabilitated, and released back into the waters off Louisiana's coast. This Barbary lion, a subspecies considered to be the biggest of all lions that was used in the Roman Colosseums to fight gladiators, has been held in captivity since birth. Now, watch as he's released into a sanctuary for the first time. The lion looks around confused about his new home, not knowing what to do with all that space after being confined to small cages his entire life. In Thailand, releasing elephants into the wild is one of the highest forms of making merit. So for the princess's 60th birthday, 6 elephants are given their freedom. Watch as she offers them a stick or two of sugarcane for their journey before being released into the wild for the first time. Four giraffes are released into a protected area in South Africa. And here's 6 more giraffes being released to the same area, happily running out of the cage and into the riverside wilderness. An elephant transit home in Sri Lanka rehabilitates orphaned elephant calves and ensures they have the best chance of survival out in the wild. Watch the beautiful moment where 9 of these orphans are released back to the jungle. An endangered Florida panther, who was rescued as a kitten and raised in captivity, made a rare run back into the wild. The panther has probably never run that fast in his entire life, excited to leave captivity and experience true freedom. 2 dolphins who were rescued from a filthy pool at a Turkish tourism resort are released back into the wild after years in captivity.
Living next to one of the most densely populated cities in Europe. They're swimming right in front of our boat right now. It's incredible.
4 orphan bear cubs are released back into the wild near where they were found after 6 months of captivity. 3 bottlenose dolphins are released into the open sea around Indonesia after years of captivity in a traveling circus and a resort hotel pool. They are now swimming free. Just watch how one of the dolphins approaches one of the cameras, saying thank you to the human heroes who set him free. With huge tusks and a grumpy temperament, hippos are widely known as Africa's most dangerous animals. So when this hippo was going to be released into the wild once again, these wildlife workers had to tranquilize the dangerous creature before moving and releasing it in a protected area. Now, the hippo is finally free to stay in his new home with the pleasant company of a local dame. After recovering from an injury at a wildlife center, this gray fox was released back into the wild in a safe area. Let us know in the comments which of these clips was your favorite. In the meantime, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.